Coming up on this Finding Truth Prophetic Network interview.
I was going to say, hey, wake up. Let's release the wake up to the possibilities. Wouldn't it be amazing? Wouldn't it just be amazing if we are on the cusp of a new renaissance?
If he's with us, whoo, there's a lot that's possible. Everything is possible. Hey, everybody, welcome. It's Krista Dunk. You are here at Finding Truth Prophetic Network, and this is going to be a fun interview today. I have my friend and mentor, Peter Eisses, here, and I want to ask you a question before we get going with the interview. I want to ask you, listeners, if you are a creative, do you consider yourself a creative? Now, that's a word I think that a lot of people have heard tossed around, and typically that will include musicians and artists and authors and performers or things like that. I do want to say that I believe everybody has a creativity in their life. Everyone has some sort of creativity. And I have a feeling, though, there are a lot of people who have been putting their creativity and their creative side aside for a long time. Maybe your creative within you has become dormant. And we're going to talk about this subject today with Peter. So, welcome. So happy that you are here with us today, Peter.
Thanks, Krista. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, glad to have you. You are one of my mentors in the Emerging Prophets community, training community, and that has been a life-changing, just a life-changing community for me in so many ways. And so thank you for all that you do with Emerging Prophets. Yes.
Appreciate it.
You are helping many, many, many people advance their callings and their spiritual growth. And so keep up the good work on that. And not only are you doing that, but you have just written a book, a brand new book, your very first book called Whispered West. And I just love it. It's actually one of the most unique projects that I've worked on for a while. And it's been really fun. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that too. But if we could as we get started, I just want to ask you a question and tell us about your creative journey and what that has looked like for you in your life.
Wow, I could probably take up, Krista, probably a full hour, so I won't do that, but on that, but just real quick, I think I started to recognize when I was really young the fact that I was always drawn to the creative, the arts, the saw differently. And so even in high school, I bought my first camera in high school. All the money I made from the farm that I grew up on, I worked at. I bought this amazing camera, and immediately I fell in love with photography, and that was my first real kick at the can at creativity, if you will. And I pursued it full on, and I loved it. And I actually became a pretty good untrained photographer, and that's where it started. But I really wanted to get into the fine arts. That's what I wanted to do. And after high school, I applied and to several fine art schools and was promptly denied. Significant, like it was not even, I just didn't get in. I did not have the educational marks in high school to be able to get that, which is fine. And it was probably actually a good thing that I didn't go. But that's where that would have started. And my mom is a creative, and she's a painter, and later on in life she discovered that, mind you, but that got passed down to us and through her. And my grandmother was a poet, but it was kept hidden that she was. So that's kind of where this kind of journey started. And there's musicians on one side of my family, but I tried that, it didn't work. All thumbs, I just couldn't figure it out. So
That part of the creative categories wasn't your thing there. Huh? Yeah. We all have our spots. Okay. So yeah. So your grandmother was a poet, and your new book, Whispered West, is actually some poetry, kind of like spoken word almost type feel to it. And yeah, I mean, if you think about your grandmother, she was a poet, but nobody like knew it really.
Right.
It's like it was that voice didn't get to go out
Correct.
and be heard. Yeah, that's not good. That's
No.
not good. Of course, with my work, working with authors and prophetic writers, that's one of my big things is get that voice out, especially if that voice hold some things that is going to shift people. It's going to help people move forward in life. It's going to help them ask good questions about themselves. Just all of that make some kind of meaningful difference in people's lives and talk about what God is doing and all of that. So it's just important to my heart that the voices go out and the gifts go out. And so congratulations on
Well,
your first book.
I appreciate that very much.
So the art school
Yeah.
promptly said no. And so what did you do after that? Where did you shift to? And how did you kind of reclaim your creative?
Well, honestly, I actually had a really bad experience in this process, and I ended up at a community college. Because I said I was like I'm saying, okay, you denied me, I'm going to try anyways, and so I actually ended up in a general community college with a general program with had some arts electives. And so I had one of them was a photography class. And I went to this photography class, and in this photographer who he was a photographer, he came, at the end of the class he said, "You don't have it. You can't do this. You're not very good." That was his advice to me. And so I, being a young 19-year-old, 18-year-old, going, "Oh, well, I guess I heard from a mentor that told me that I'm not very good. I guess I'm not good." So I literally put my camera away. And I said, "Well, I guess I'm not creative. I tried this. I guess I'm going to go do something else." So I actually forced my creativity into dormancy. And I think about that and I go, wow, I this was it was actually probably a really good thing because it wasn't there was some untruths in it that I was believing about myself that probably would have come out negatively in a creative form that may not have been very good. So actually when I look back, I go, "Oh, thank you, Lord, for protecting me in that." But yet at the same time, it was it put me back, honestly. And so to pick it back up, I remember where it happened was I was in Texas. That's another long story. I won't go there. But we was in Texas and we were listening to this gal and she was talking on creativity and she was in her at the time she was in her mid 40s I think it was, and the Lord told her to go to Hollywood and pick up acting. And she did. So she went to Hollywood and she got picked up on a couple extras on shows and da da da. And the Lord started opening doors for her. But it was about dreaming. It was all about dreaming and dreaming where you felt like the Lord was pulling you into it. And immediately the Lord said, "You got to pick up your camera again." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I was so challenged in that moment, but I was like, "Yeah, that's right, I do." So I did. And that's where it came, that's where it started, that's where it came back. And I'm like, and I've been cultivating it back ever since.
I love that story. I feel like a lot of people can relate to that too, in whatever area of creativity they may have. It may be art, music, like you said, photography, dance, or anything like that where there's an expression.
Yeah.
There's a person and writing, I hear it for authors all the time. There's can be a person along the journey who kind of can shut you down or just you get discouraged by some kind of criticism or something like that. And I do feel like that causes a lot of people to kind of drop the whole thing and just kind of go, well, I guess never mind. Maybe my dream was not going to be realized in that area. So anyway, if you're out there and you are someone who has had someone kind of squash that dream for you, if it wasn't God, you should retake a look at it and see what he says about it. So, okay, let's take a really, really quick break. And then when we come back, I want to ask you about, because you are a prophet, I want to ask you about creatives and prophets and how that goes together often. So we'll be right back. What does the re-election of President Donald Trump mean for America's future? What do the next 4 years hold? In his new book called Trump, America, and the Church, Prophet Keith Ferrante offers a unique perspective and unveils insights about what God is doing in America, with the world, and with President Trump. He shares revelation from God about the 7 things that will mark Trump's presidential legacy, and how the body of Christ can be a significant part in advancing the purposes of heaven over the next 4 years and beyond. Get your copy of Trump, America, and the Church by author Keith Ferrante today on Amazon, available in paperback and Kindle. Hi, welcome back. I'm talking with Peter Eisses, who is a prophet and a creative. And now I want to ask you, Peter, about being a creative prophet or a prophet creative. You have some thoughts on that I think I'm interested in hearing, and I think others will be as well.
I love that. I this is a work in progress, mind you. But nonetheless, I there's some the Lord is a creative. That's who he is. What did he do? He created. Genesis is, I love some of my favorite chapters in the Bible are the first couple chapters of Genesis because it talks about our beginnings. And what did he do? He created. And so all of us on this earth have a measure of creativity, and the prophets are no different. And how we hear from the Lord is creative. All of us are different. We all hear different. We all receive different. And so as someone who is a creative, how I express that is part of the creativity of the Lord. And so one of the things that I've experienced for my own self in that is how words come out. And it's funny when I started to really pursue the more the journey of the prophetic and the prophet in me is really when this book started to come out, because it had to do with my voice, of me owning my voice and me owning my voice as a creative and seeing that, oh, there are things that the Lord shows me that come like literally the Lord shows me and it comes out in a creative way. And so I would, it would be funny. I'd just look out the window and I'll be looking out the window and I just see something like something would just fly by, for example, or I just look at the neighbor's color on a house and all of a sudden this whole idea and this thought just starts pouring down into me. And I'm like, oh my goodness, there's something to write about here. Let's write about this. And in the process of me writing about that, man, the Lord would start to speak to me about a little bit about who I am, a little bit about my process, my journey, and things would start to be, it was literally like it was being pulled out of me. The writing literally pulled some things out of me. And as a creative, you're like, yes, that's what you want. You want the things that are inside of you to be pulled out. It is being vulnerable, right? You're being a little vulnerable with these are things that are sometimes very close to my heart and or very close to my person. And do I let it out? And yeah, we need to, and creatives need to let their creativity out, because if you don't let it out, it's gonna go back into dormancy.
Whoa, back into dormancy. Yeah, no, don't do it. Yeah, I love what you just said, a couple of things there about the thought about the pulling out of us. And sometimes we don't even realize what's there
Yeah,
for a long time. Or we had glimpses of it, but we haven't seen those things in a really long time. And I know for myself, as someone who is a creative, that the creative process and just allowing space for creativity in my life really adds a lot of color to my world for myself. And I love how you said owning my voice, the expression as a creative. And I think that's super, super valuable and important. And I think that's a journey
it is.
to own it. So what would you say if someone's watching and they're like, I have dormant creativity, I'm a dormant creative, and how can I own my voice as a creative? What can I do? What would you tell that person?
I think the biggest thing is to let it out. And at times it's not gonna, you're gonna be like, oh, this is terrible. this, this this sucks. And you know what? Actually, it might.
It might.
You know what? It might, but it might not too. And I think it's being vulnerable. It's actually being authentic to that place of like, you know what? It's okay. It's okay if it's not, perfect or, but who wants to, define that? We're trying to define perfection anyways. Like we're not going to understand what perfection is until we get to heaven. And so, yes, we should strive for excellence, but I think sometimes we strive for perfection, and when we strive for perfection, that stops us. And so I have really gotten rid of that. Like I can't strive for perfection because it's not going to happen. I'm striving for excellence and to be the best authentic me that I can be in the moment of my creativity. And there are times when that I need some adjustments. Look, even Krista made some adjustments on a few of my work. She made some suggestions. I'm like, oh my goodness, yeah, I didn't think of that. Or that's great because I'm I'm only a portion. I'm not the only piece to the creativity. It's actually those around me who are speaking into the process as well and say, hey, have you thought about that maybe? What if you tried that instead? What would that do to your creativity? Bing, 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 bing. Oh my goodness, I never thought of that. Like, what a great idea. What if I did try that on top of what I'm doing? Man, it could blow the doors off.
Wow, creatives in community. You
Yes.
don't know what that could do for you and just what all that could spark. And I love the thought about the perfection too. And I feel like there are some people, and I've probably been guilty of this in some ways in the past in my life, where, if I can't do something perfectly, I might not want to do it at all.
Yeah.
That can stop us. But I guess it's learning to embrace the creative journey
Yeah.
and realizing that, hey, as I'm starting or even in the middle or even at the end, if I can learn to love imperfection, as I heard someone wisely tell me in the past, learn to love imperfection. And that's just part of the creative process, right?
I love that. I had this great story. A number of years ago, I was able to sit under a Kiowa Indian chief, and he was a believer, and he was talking about he came in he had all the garb on, all the amazing beadwork stuff and everything. It was an amazing outfit. Phenomenally beautiful, just gorgeous, right? But he said one thing about it. I've never forgotten it. I won't forget it. He said, when we put these together, when we build these, we make these things, he said, we always make sure there's one mistake. We don't do it perfect. He said, because only the creator is perfect.
Powerful.
That wrecked me. It ruined me because I'm like, but it spoke so good, clear to my heart because it's like, man, I can't, it's not about perfection. Perfection, that striving for perfection will stop us from moving forward.
It will. And I feel like some of our schooling can sometimes, I think, squash the creative process because it's about often the perfection. And oh, that red mark that you're going to find on that paper that, you weren't able to get it all correct. So mark down. And so
Yeah.
we have these thoughts kind of in our mind and these standards and things that we probably need to not even apply to the creative process. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. 100% because you won't get it out. It'll stop you.
Yeah.
It will just stop you in your tracks.
I see that so often with writers as well. There's they hold on to their writing or their book, or they know they're supposed to, and they get partway through, or they might even get all the way done. But for the fear of not having it perfect, they will hold on to it and not release it.
Yeah.
So, but then how many people, the creative things and the expression that each of us can offer in the world is going to affect other people in amazing ways. So Why would we hold that back? Yeah, good question to ask ourselves. Okay, let's take another quick break and we will come back with this continued conversation about creatives. We'll be right back.
If your life was a book, do you have a few broken chapters, times of struggle, loss, pain, or hardship? God, the author and finisher of our faith, can rewrite the broken chapters of our lives. If you or a friend could use some encouragement, hope, and true testimonies of God's power and love, there is a special book just for you called Broken Chapters, 21 Testimonies of How God Rewrites Our Life Stories. This collection of short stories from people who faced difficult circumstances and saw God working will help you see that God does care. He does work things out, and He can do the same for you. Get your copy of Broken Chapters today on Amazon. Available in Kindle or paperback.
All right, welcome back. We are here at Finding Truth Prophetic Network. My name is Krista. We're talking with Peter today, talking about creative prophets. And okay, I have a question for you, Peter.
Okay, cool.
All of the ways that I would love to hear what your thoughts, all the ways that prophets, prophetic people can operate as a creative, or maybe how their creative comes out through the things that they do, and or the creative things that they do actually have a prophetic tie to them. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah. So I mean, the creative, of course, we all know the creative is expressed through music, through words, books, literature, poetry, dance,
Art.
acting, fine art, all of those things. And even if you go back to Michelangelo, and the Sistine Chapel and the creation of David, right? These guys were prophetic in their own right. Like they were like the creative mind, like creating like those unbelievably amazing paintings and those sculptures. Like they've lasted into today as being wonderful, amazing works of art. And that's the Renaissance. Like, and we know, there's revival, Reformation, and Renaissance. And I believe that's what we're stepping into is Renaissance. I believe that this is the next step that we're going to be diving into. But I believe that the prophet is a big part of that, of ushering that in. It could be in performance, it could be in acting, and or like I know, like I really like spoken word prophecy, or poetry, that, if you will, spoken word prophecy. You can call it that too, I guess, if you want, but we can go there maybe. But I think that these are all aspects that I think that we can go toward. And like, wouldn't it be amazing? Wouldn't it just be amazing if we are on the cusp of a new Renaissance? I actually think that we are. And to usher in forth a new creative, like unbelievable works of art that express prophetically and in who God is in this time.
Like a creative explosion.
Thank you. Yes, that's the word. Explosion.
I
Yes.
love that. Oh, I just feel the fire on that thought of a creative explosion getting ready to happen. Like, I feel like if the creatives just could connect themselves to God, the creator, like every idea, every piece of art, every book, every performance, every creative work is found there.
Yeah.
And it's like just waiting and available. And I don't know if this is true, Peter, but maybe it is. Maybe there's in heaven, like written in the books of each of our lives, there are things that we are meant to take hold of and create.
Oh, I fully believe that. I fully believe that. I think that there's things that are unwritten that are actually for us to write as well. But there's also things that we can in turn see that is part, like it's have you ever like experienced something and you're like, okay, somebody started something, but you spin off of it and you're like, oh, you get an idea from someone else's idea.
Yeah.
Like I believe that that's what heaven is like. It's like the Lord's like, there's this open invitation. It's like, hey, create with me, create with me. God said that, he finished creation in 7 days, yes. But creating is not done. Creating has still happened since then up until current, and it will continue forward because we creativity just doesn't suddenly end.
Right.
No, I mean, so wouldn't it be that maybe that this would continue? I believe so. That this is continuing. If you just look at it, if I create a piece of art, it's never been done before because I did it. I'm not an amazing painter. I dabble a little bit, but I'm not an amazing painter. But anything like it's never, ever, ever been done before. That's creation. That is creation. Like I made a little bookshelf and a little thing out of wood. That piece of wood has never been used for that thing ever before in history. With me, the creator, the shaper of that wood. I know it's a little bit of a funny example, but it speaks to if we break it down, it's like everything is available for us in that way to be able to spin off of and create something out of an idea. And I think prophetically, sorry, Chris, I think prophetically, when we look into the more, like there's so much more available. Like I love the explosion word. That's so right, because what would happen if we all tapped into what the Lord is saying creatively in the moments, not only these moments, but like going further down the road and seeing what kind of amazing change can actually happen as a result of us creating with the Lord. Like a book or a painting. Like I know I've heard stories of people, they look at a painting and they are healed. All of that, like what is possible? Well, we know in Ephesians 3:20, all things are possible with God. So let's dream like unbelievable dreams with him creatively to see what is possible.
Yeah, what is possible? If he's with us, whoo, there's a lot that's possible. Everything is possible. Yeah, that's exciting to me. We have to do certain things. There are certain creative expressions and things to create that only we can do as individuals. Like it's up to us or it's not going to get out there. And I love that thought about create with me. Like God has this invitation for every one of us, create with me. I love that so much. Okay, we should wrap up, Peter. I know we could talk about this for a long time.
I know we could. Like we could maybe we should do this again because I feel like that there's a whole lot more here, but like this is a tease, friend.
There's more. Part
Yeah.
to be continued, part two. Yeah. Okay. So if somebody's watching and they're like, that invitation, to create with God and to get my dormant creative awake again. Just if you would just take a minute and speak to that person and just give them an encouragement as we're closing out this segment.
Yeah. Well, I'll just release right now to you guys if that's inside of you, if there's a dormancy inside of you, you're a creative dormant or a dormant creative, I'm just gonna say, hey, wake up. Let's release the wake up to the possibilities of your creativity coming alive in its fullness. And I just speak to the creativity that's within you to come out in the expression of you and who you are, whether that's writing, drawing, painting, sculpture, what have you, whatever it is. It's in there for you to express and to express who your creator is in that and with that invitation. So I just released that and blessed you with that.
Amen to that. Yes. And it makes me think of when you said wake up, I immediately had the American Sign Language sign of that's that
Oh, nice.
wake up.
Wake up. Let's go.
And it made me think like open your eyes to the beauty and to just that invitation that we have, and open your eyes again to remember who you are.
Yeah.
And remember that the Creator is your Father and you are like him and we are like him. So this has been so great, Peter. Thank you so much. And before we go, I would love it if you could tell everybody if they want to connect with you further and if they would like to find your book, Whispered West, where they can do that.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Krista. So Whispered West will be available on Amazon, and you'll be able to get it there. That's probably the best place to get it. I don't have a website set up for it yet, but that's the best place to go get it. You can just search it in the search engine, and it'll come up. But if you want to get a hold of me better, you can look me up on Facebook or Instagram. I'm on there just under my name, and I also have a website under my name. So.
Perfect. Okay. So track down Peter. He's up to all kinds of great, amazing things. And again, thank you so much for being on today. I appreciate it so much.
Thanks, Krista. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you for watching this segment here at Finding Truth Prophetic Network. And you can visit more of our information at findingtruthpropheticnetwork.com. Be sure to subscribe to our channel here, and we will see you next time. Blessings to you, and bye for now.
Thank you for watching the Finding Truth Prophetic Network. Want to support the kingdom work we're doing here at FTPN? A great way to support us is by simply subscribing to our channel. Click the subscribe button now, and thank you for watching.